All right.
Okay, I'd like to, do we need to get back and reconvene? We need a motion to reconvene?
Move that we reconvene as a council and seal the executive session minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I just wanted to report the vote in the executive session. The town council unanimously voted to hire an engineering firm, Crossman Engineering, to research the Richmond water tank issue that's before us. So, thank you. All councilors approved that authorization. Okay. I want to begin the Hopkinton Town Council meeting of January 6, 2014, with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First on the agenda is, need a motion, please, to sit as licensing board.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
We have campground license renewals. We're going to open a hearing on the renewal of the following campground licenses. Frontier Camper Park, Scott Thompson, Ashaway. Is the applicant here? Okay, thank you. Greenwood Hill Campground Association. Okay, thank you. Holly Tree Campgrounds. Okay. Whispering Pines. Okay. Let's see, Ashaway Pines. Okay. And, okay, what's that? Okay. All been paid? Okay. Notice is posted, okay. I guess we have any...
Should I make
Yeah,
make a
please.
motion? A motion to grant renewal to each license, subject to all state and town regulations being met and all town taxes current prior to issue.
Okay, motion.
second that.
Okay, so motion made and seconded. Any further council discussion?
I think we should ask the audience.
Yeah, we're gonna get that. We're gonna get
From what I've seen, what I've noticed, there's no reason to deny these, but I'm sure that at least one of them will have comment. Considering who's in the audience.
The public have any comments on any of these license renewals? Yes, please come to the podium, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Terry Carlson from Greenwood Hill Campground. I just had a quick question. I noticed on here, it could be a misprint, approval is for 50 campsites. We have more than 50 campsites. I want to say it's somewhere around 70 or 80 campsites. I know our list of trailers was 61 or 62,
Okay,
so I don't know if I should bring that up now or...
good question. Lisa, what are your thoughts?
Well, the reason that the amounts, the number of campsites are on there, that is what the council authorized, and it was probably 10 years or so when they readjusted them. So they should only have the 50 campsites in the SPAR sites. If there's been more, I think that what happened previously was there was an expansion hearing. Oh. And the building and zoning official went out and he re-inspected and recounted, and they came up with these up-to-date numbers. So if they have more.
Should we add that to the motion?
Maybe we can keep it to 50 and then have this looked at and brought to the next council meeting if it needs to be corrected to 62,
It
because
does-
there's time.
Yeah,
So
it
we
do-
need to
it
do
does-
whatever we need to do to check on it, so we'll have to table it.
It sounds like what Lisa's saying
Table
is
it.
that they're only authorized for 50
We
Yeah.
haven't been other years.
Yes, every year.
every year.
Really?
Yes, and the license, I believe, says it also.
So if there's anything different, well, we could approve it tonight and then, or table it. And
Yeah, either
see if we
way,
need
you
more
could approve it
information.
for 50.
Approve it for 50, and if there's more information, then
And
we
if
should
they
bring
need
it.
to expand it, they'd need to come back to the council with a request to expand.
That's a good question.
Sure.
Do you remember us allowing, or the town allowing you to expand from the number of 50 to 62 or 65, whatever? Do you have any paperwork?
I don't have any paperwork, no, but, I know when I first joined the association, they had said we had room for expansion, we could expand up to, and I forget what the number was.
Yeah.
And I know the last few years, I've always sent the list of trailers down. And there's always been, we have 50 owners, plus we have 12 seasonals or something like that.
Lisa?
The listing of the campgrounds go to the assessor's office, and that's probably why we didn't see it. And also, as far as your first question is concerned, it was when the Rathmans owned it,
Oh.
where it was readjusted. That was some
So
years
it
ago.
was readjusted from 50?
Up to 50.
Oh, up to 50,
Up to
okay,
50, Yep.
okay.
I'd like to table it. I would like to table Greenwood Hill Campground and have it go to our assessor and then have it come back to council because we have time to do that,
Yeah.
rather than just approving the 50. Can we do that, Lisa?
I'm sorry, I'm ready.
I would like to just
Yes, you can table that.
table,
Sure.
I'd like to
Yeah.
table, so I'd like to remake.
And you're sure there's more than 50?
Oh, I know there's more than
Okay,
50, yes.
Then
Okay.
We have time to do either way, either option, we'll go
We
with
got a
that.
motion on the floor.
I know, I'm going to remove my motion. Remove your second.
Removed.
All right, I'd like to motion, a motion to grant all renewals of each license, subject to all state and town regulations being met and all town taxes current prior to issue, except for Greenwood Hill Campground Association.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any further council discussion?
I'm trying to think, other than the assessor, does it need to go to anybody
Brad
else?
Wood, maybe?
Probably building.
Probably, yeah, okay, Brad Wardson, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, because we have time.
Okay.
Time to do
All
that.
right, thank you.
Thanks a bunch.
Thanks.
Okay, all those in favor? I don't think we-
Aye.
More.
Anyone else on the public wishing to be heard, please come to the podium. Mr. Vancier?
We already made it.
I know.
We already finished.
Thank you for the opportunity to come here and speak tonight. I've come to talk about some concerns to the council for the licensing process for Ashley Pines RV Resort. One of them is there an evacuation plan? And if so, where a copy may be obtained? That's one of my concerns I had. One of the other ones.
Ken, what was that?
Is there an evacuation plan, and if so, where can a copy be obtained for that?
All right.
That's, so, and I got another concern, is a fire buffer requirement being met for the first 100 feet on the western side of the entrance's southern end abutting Route 216 being a 10-foot buffer requirement. I have one more I'd like to just mention. In the beginning of 2013, a fire was lit to burn the stumps left over from the land clearing of the RV park, known as Ashley Pines. During a period of approximately 2 days, a fire burned and a cloud of smoke lingered through my neighborhood. My neighbors were disappointed as I was. My home was permeated with smoke. I had no way of protecting us from such an unwanted smoke upon us and couldn't prevent it. Is this any indication of what it will be like when the campfires, grills, etc. are burning for the RV park's patrons? Is it okay for the smoke to enter another person's property like that? What does the future hold? Thank you for the chance to come forward tonight.
Thank you, Ken, and I'll take personal responsibility to answer your 3 questions. I'll get
Okay.
back to you. I'll call you, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thanks a bunch. Anyone else out there wishing to be heard? Okay. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn as licensing board and reconvene as council.
Seconded.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay, next on our agenda is the zoning ordinance amendment, zoning ordinance text amendment decision. Render a decision regarding the petitions filed by Megawatt Energy Solutions, LLC, for property owned by Bank Street Holdings, LLC, located at 45 Bank Street, Hope Valley, Rhode Island, identified as Assessor's Plat 28 Lot 122, and RFR 80 Rural Farming Residential Zone for a zoning ordinance text amendment to change the zoning district from RFR 80 to commercial on the zoning map, and an amendment to the Hopkinton Comprehensive Community Plan future land use map, changing the designation of said Assessors Plat 28 Lot 122 from RFR 80 to commercial to enable construction of a solar energy system, heard on December 16th, 2013. Okay. I know the applicant's here and representatives are here. Do we want to take
Well, we've got some amendments we'd like to make, or motions we'd like to make.
Yeah,
Mr.
okay.
Well, you
President.
wanna
Not
do
amendments,
Christine
motions.
first.
Yeah, the Chris brochure. Oh, there she is, I'm sorry. Chris, please, come to the podium.
How are you?
Good.
Good evening. So I submitted the, what I thought the tax dollar revenue would be, and I had two scenarios. From council minutes, it was more about $1 million, and then after talking with the representative, he sent over some numbers of about $662,000. So this will be taxed as tangible property, which is a little bit different. So there's a depreciation schedule that'll be followed. That's part of the statutory state law. I was hoping to get more information from the property owner himself to find out if there was any lease agreement, or just so we could, find out. We're working on the value for the land, but I wasn't able to get any return phone calls from him. And I think that's it. Did you have any questions on the paperwork I submitted?
That was pretty straightforward, thanks. Did you guys
I
have
do,
any
Barb.
questions on the assessor's note?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Oh, you want me to go
Yeah,
ahead?
please.
Oh, on your schedule here, the question I had for you is, you explained that it's going to be taxed as tangible property, and there's a depreciation schedule you follow. Is that something is that by law, or?
Yes,
or-
and I
okay,
have
it's
a
a statute?
Would you like to see a copy of one?
No, no.
Okay.
What happens when, this is new for me, so when things depreciate in this way, and you look, for instance, you did it for up to the year 2027, when it depreciates 70% by then, what happens if over time they've maintained and they've put in new replacement parts? It doesn't work that way? It's always depreciated no matter what? I just wondered how it worked.
If they add new panels, then it would go underneath a new year, and then they would start at year one again, and then that would go as a 5% depreciation, and then go down again.
Even if they added one panel? How, you see what I'm saying? Let's suppose it's, a few got broken, or, I don't know. How does that work?
Depreciation starts all over again with new stuff.
Even with one new panel?
Yeah,
Even if there's like 300 of them and you just put one in?
sure.
Okay, I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen this form
No, maybe I
before?
should get a copy.
It would be underneath section 4 on this. Would everybody
Right.
have a copy of it, or underneath
Just
section
one
4?
question, it starts.
Yeah, if we could have a copy of this for us, and then I could understand it better. I'll give it to the clerk. Can we keep this?
Yeah, I have a couple more
Okay.
copies.
Does anybody want to look at this right now?
I'm good, I
Yeah,
understand.
we could
I
get a
understand.
copy of it and
Appreciations.
Yeah.
put it in our packet next time. Thank you.
Yes, Barbara, go ahead.
To follow that question, that line of questioning, if it's tangible property and it's eventually depreciated to zero, what are our taxes?
It's depreciated to only 30%. Is that what you mean from the?
Yeah, what are our taxes? How much are we gaining on this piece of property with these solar panels?
The solar panels themselves, once they goes through the 14-year cycle.
Right.
The total for the 14 years would be, if it's on the $1 million, it would be $172,991
Yeah,
for
but
the
that's over
14
the entire
years.
course.
Mhm.
And if it's 662,000?
The total would be $114,000.
So we really aren't
570.
gaining very much taxes on this particular piece of property.
Well, I beg to differ.
Well, you're getting more than just vacant land.
Maybe, but 112 or 172 is over the course of 14 years. That means you're getting,
A lot more than you're getting now.
That's right.
So,
I don't know if I'd agree with that. Okay.
it's 1,900 now. That's why that times 14.
But anyway, the statute I'm sorry, go ahead, Barbara.
That's okay.
Could I ask Chris, what are the current taxes on that piece of property?
The land itself,
Yeah.
the valuation is $96,100, and the tax dollars for 2013, their tax bill was $1,899.90.
You're still not getting a lot of money by the time 14 or 27 years ago. That's okay.
So that was only, the page 2 of what I wrote out, that was only for the solar panels. That does not include the land.
Right.
So there'll be two different bills that go out on this property if this was to go through. One would be for the tangible property, the solar panels, and then for the land would be a separate one.
Can I ask that?
Sure.
Just a second question. do you know offhand what the difference is between that piece of property as residential and that piece of property as commercial, as far as taxes go, or assessment
It's
goes?
still a little bit too early. I wasn't able to get enough information from the property owner. I'm hoping that I'm able to get a phone call back and more information on the lease. And solar is new in the state, so
Yeah.
we really have to see.
I guess what I'm asking is, if you have a 10-acre piece of residential property, and you have a 10-acre piece of commercial property, is the commercial property worth more than the residential if they're abutting each other? They're right in the same neighborhood and all that?
Commercial is typically valued higher, but
Okay.
that's straight commercial with all of the benefits of commercial.
Uh-huh.
From what I understand on this commercial, is that it would be restricted to only solar panels. So if they wanted to have a
True.
restaurant there,
True.
I don't, it's not, I didn't understand it as being
Yeah,
a
no,
straight.
you're right, I understand that now, yes,
Okay.
you're right, okay.
Scott, yeah?
I thanked Christine earlier today for her work, and her input was important. My concern is, can we have her report that's in our council packet be made part of the record, as well as what she just passed out, so that it can be examined in the future? I haven't seen what she
Yeah,
just
it
passed
becomes
out.
part of the record, yeah.
So I would respectfully request, Mr. President, that her report that's in our council packet on this matter be placed in permanent records, and as well as the thing she just passed out. I haven't seen that, but I pretty well know where I'm going to go with this, but I thank you for your input.
Do you guys have anything else for Chris?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Council deliberations, who wants to,
Oh, the motions?
what deliberations, and then, I guess, does anybody have any comments regarding this?
Yeah, I do.
Subject matter before us, and then we'll get into that.
I support, go ahead. You wanna-
No, go ahead, Scott, you started.
I support this proposal. My concern is, I think it's a fair concern, is that a couple of things entered my mind. It is a new technology. From considering the history of that property, it seems an adequate use of the property, because obviously not suitable for residential, and considering its history. Also, what concerns me is that we have to do a rush job because of the National Grid. I believe it has to be in place by November,
You're not doing a rush job.
No?
aren't we?
No.
No, you've heard this in the ordinary course, and you've heard it the way you would hear any other applicant.
But I thought that if we
They
would...
have a rush job.
Yeah,
You
they have
haven't.
Okay. They have a rush job that we're trying to accommodate. Let me stand corrected on that. And usually it puts pressure on the council because we want to, promote business and that type of stuff. So they're getting a special consideration from the council if we grant this. The thing that concerns me is I know that the town of Middletown, Rhode Island, does have special use permits, and I can't help but have in my mind that these things shouldn't be allowed without a special use permit, which would require them going to the zoning board, and within the time frame, they wouldn't be able to go to the zoning board. So I am concerned about that. I would hope in the future we consider the feasibility of special use permits in these type of zones, but I will vote for the project. And thanks for the correction, Solicitor Buckley. Thank you. I have no further comment.
Thanks, Scott. Sylvia?
Yeah, I support this project going forward, and I think that, one thing that I wasn't sure that we'd have, and we did have, when we had our hearing, no property owner, and they knew about it, spoke against it. And that tells me some things too. But, it's a difficult piece of land. They found a use, and I'm glad, and I wish them all good luck.
Thanks, Susan. Barbara?
I would like to make an addendum, a condition on the zone change from RFR 80 to commercial. When that motion is made, I am also for the project, but I do have an addendum. I would like to add as a condition, in the event that the applicant's project is not completed within the timeline provided by National Grid, then the zoning designation for the property shall revert to RFR 80. At the moment, it is becoming commercial, and the only thing you can have there is solar panels. that doesn't serve the owner or the town if indeed the project fails on its timeline. So I would like the zone to revert back to RFR 80 if indeed it is not completed within the timeline that National Grid has set up. Otherwise, we're stuck with a piece of property that can only be solar panels and never anything else unless the owner comes back.
Okay. Any other comments?
That's it.
Okay. David?
I know the piece of property well. I think it's a wonderful use for the piece of property. I don't think it's going to bother the neighbors. I'm all for this idea, I really am.
And you live nearby, too.
I do, I live really near that.
I think it's a good use of the land. It conforms to our comp plan, promoting economic activity, or opportunity, I should say. I wanted to thank the planning board for the stipulations and recommendations they put forth regarding the conditions on the property, and that allowed us really to make an informed decision. And I think it's a win-win for the town. There's no extra traffic, Charahoe enrollment, and so on and so forth with police and fire. So I support the applicant's request.
Did you want to mention that?
Yeah, and the only other thing I want to put forward is it's also going to be subject to the property taxes being current. So right now, I believe they're not. So they've got to be brought forward pretty soon, actually. And then once they are, then we'll be all set. So okay, so want to start with them. Any further deliberations, council?
None.
Want to start with the motion?
Okay. This is in reference to the zone change from RFR 80 to commercial.
No, you're doing the other one, you're doing the
I'm
additional
sorry.
photovoltaic.
Oh, all right, we've got three of them. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're gonna
I'm
do-
sorry, okay.
You're gonna do the district use table first.
This is addition of the photovoltaic, did I
Yes.
pronounce it right? Good,
Photovoltaic.
solar energy systems to the district use table. I move that we adopt the ordinance amendment substantially as proposed by the applicant, amending the district use tables of Chapter 134, Chapter 5, Section 5, to add a new use category of photovoltaic solar energy systems as a use number 486, and ask that the text of the amendment itself be published in full in the minutes at this point, amended to add the modifier in quotations photovoltaic, and including specific conditions on the use to be designated as a new section 5.3. The amendment will create a new use of photovoltaic solar energy systems townwide as a right in commercial and manufacturing zones only. Aquifer protection permits will not be required in both primary and secondary aquifer protection zones. The following specific conditions will also be imposed by new section 5.3, and there shall be an asterisk or other indicator attached to new use category 486, referring readers to section 5.3 for the conditions on the use. Section 5.3, photovoltaic solar energy system conditions. A, the minimum front, side, and rear yard depth, and the maximum building height applicable to permitted uses in the applicable zoning district shall apply to photovoltaic solar energy systems. B, all electric connection and distribution lines within the facility shall be underground unless physical constraints to the land make underground lines impossible or impractical. Electrical equipment between the facility and the utility connection may be above ground if required by the utility. C, to prevent unauthorized access, the facility shall be enclosed by a perimeter fence of no less than 6 feet in height. D, exterior lighting within the facility shall comply with all Hopkinton lighting ordinances, and B, the minimum necessary. All fixtures shall be full cut-off fixtures approved by the International Dark Sky Association. E, the maximum height of the panels shall be no greater than 12 feet. The council finds that the proposed amendment is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, bears a reasonable relationship to the public health, safety, and welfare, and is in the best interest of the community based upon the following. Number one, the planning board has recommended passage of the proposed new use category after amending the proposed category from the general description of solar energy systems to the very specific photovoltaic solar energy systems, thereby restricting drastically the type of solar energy system that will be allowed as a right in commercial and manufacturing zones, and limiting this use to solar energy systems that are unique among solar energy applications for being entirely environmentally benign. Number 2, testimony before the council established that the proposed use of photovoltaic solar energy systems, which is not presently represented in the district use table, is one that has become increasingly important in Hopkinton and throughout the state and will benefit the people living in Hopkinton. Number 3, the use will promote an important local, state, and national objective of seeking alternative energy sources that are safe for the environment and the citizens of Hopkinton. Number 4, the use is compatible with existing uses in both commercial and manufacturing zones. Number 5, the use is a completely non-noxious, low-intensity use that will not adversely affect the uses that might exist around it in commercial and manufacturing zones or in those areas where zones are adjacent to residential and/or neighborhood business uses such as in village areas. And lastly, number 6, the proposed change is consistent with the authority reserved to the council under the comprehensive plan to identify those areas and towns where such uses are appropriate and to identify the conditions under which uses may exist. This is particularly true where a use such as that proposed is not specifically represented within the district use table. The proposed change will not adversely affect the health, safety, and welfare of the town, is in the best interest of the community. Done.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Made.
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion? Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Who's up next?
I am.
Okay.
This is the zone change from RFR 80 to commercial. The motion. I move that we approve the ordinance amendment proposed by the applicant to change the zoning classification for property located at 45 Bank Street, Assessors Map 28, Lot 122, from RFR 80 to commercial with restrictions placed upon the use to limit it to use only as use 486 photovoltaic solar energy systems and is further limited by Chapter 134, Section 5.3. The council finds that the proposed amendment is consistent with the town's comprehensive plan, bears a reasonable relationship to the public health, safety, and welfare, and is in the best interests of the community based on the following. 1, the planning board has recommended approval of the proposed zone change with restrictions for this property in a thorough and well-reasoned decision which we find extremely persuasive and helpful. In fact, the planning board recommended, and we adopt that recommendation, that the proposed use category of solar energy systems be amended to be limited to only photovoltaic solar energy systems to ensure that the use would be limited to a solar energy application that is entirely environmentally benign and therefore does not require consideration of special use permits, something other solar energy applications might require. As an aside, the planning board deserves our thanks for its excellent work. 2, testimony before the council established the following. A, the applicant's representative, Kurt Mayland, testified that he is an attorney and consultant to the solar energy industry. The proposed use of the property will be as a solar panel collection area that will cover approximately 2.5 acres of the 8-acre parcel. The approximately 1,500 panels are glass and will each be approximately 6 feet by 3 feet in size and will reach a maximum height of no more than 12 feet if stacking is used. The rows of the panels will be separated by an open space wide enough for a truck to pass by, and grasses will be allowed to grow in this area and under the panels so as to have the appearance of a meadow. The panels will not move but will be fixed and release no gases, smoke, smell, or any type of hazardous material. They will be placed well within the setback requirements and will be placed in the hollow created by the previous gravel bank excavation at the site. He provided a sketch of a typical solar panel arrangement as well as a survey of the property and photograph of a typical ground-mounted solar panel array, which were all marked as exhibits. A 6-foot fence will surround the entire array. The solar panels will collect the sunlight, which will be transmitted by wires underneath the panels out to a combiner box at the end of each row. The wiring will be buried in plastic conduit and will ultimately make its way out to an inverter that takes the DC energy and converts it to AC energy. Next to the inverter will be a transformer, and from here the energy will go out to poles. The inverter and transformer provide a low-level hum when operated during daylight hours, but will be off at night. The sound generator is roughly equivalent to a small vacuum cleaner, and it will be impossible or impractical for neighbors to hear any sound at all over the ambient noise. There will be almost no traffic to the site except for periodic mowing a couple of times a year or for possibly cleaning the panels. Everything is monitored remotely. They would additionally want someone to look at the site about once a day for security purposes. The site will have a security lighting that will be low to the ground for emergencies, but the site will be dark at night. This project is one that is tied into a specific state program for solar energy production and is heavily regulated by the state. The power it generates will be sold to National Grid and will power several hundred homes. It will go out to distribution lines along Bank Street where the energy produced will be consumed by users there. This is approximately $1 million facility. Hopkinton will benefit from increased taxes for this property insofar as it will be in a commercial zone and will be developed. B. Joseph Lombardo, the applicant's land use and planning consultant, presented a written report that was marked as an exhibit. He testified that the proposed use is in the Hope Valley Village area, which is a mixed-use area containing small-scale businesses and homes, and includes light industrial and commercial uses. The property, while zoned residential, has not been used as residential land for at least 30 years or more. It has been excavated for gravel and used for storage of vehicles and has been otherwise vacant. He testified that the property is ideal for the proposed use in that it is the type of small-scale commercial use that is appropriate for villages. There are already small-scale commercial uses in the area. The project is a high-quality design for the site and contains no hazards of any kind. Finally, Mr. Lombardo testified that the use is compatible with the town's future land use map, zoning ordinance goals, and comprehensive plan because it is, 1, consistent with the economic development plan for the town, 2, it will not alter the mixed-use character of the area and will, in fact, enhance it, 3, it has been a non-conforming use that will be made conforming by this change, and the town and the surrounding neighbors will benefit from knowing the exact use for the property going forward. 4, the proposed project will meet or exceed all conditions imposed upon the use of the area, including setbacks and lighting. 5, the project will create no pollution, no noise, doesn't move, and produces no glare. 6, it will promote the town's land use goals and policies. Property owner Kevin McDonald C. Property owner Kevin McDonald testified that he has owned the property for 10 years and has tried repeatedly to develop it in a residential fashion, but has been unable to find any buyers for it during that time. He also owns a single-family rental home adjacent to the site and believes this project will not affect that property at all. D. Real estate expert Michael Lenahan testified that the zoning in the area is a mixed bag of commercial and residential uses. In fact, a storage facility adjacent to the property has been approved for expansion in the last few months. Historically, there was a house on the property many years ago, but the property has been used to house trucks, a sanitation department, and was a town garage for a while, in addition to the gravel and earth removal use. In fact, he described the use as an attractive nuisance because it is accessible to anyone who wants to get in there, and that the photographs which were entered into evidence clearly show that the property is currently being used by various trespassers for joyriding on all-terrain vehicles. He described the property as a very difficult site as it is presently zoned and said it does not have any value from a residential standpoint. It would not support high-end homes, and any thought that it might support more modest homes has been conclusively proven impossible by the fact that developers have all stayed away from the site. In this sense, he believes the market has spoken. That this property is not a residential piece of property no matter what you call it. It is not correctly zoned. He deemed it a commercial use now, in actuality, and said this is just a matter of formalizing it. Mr. Lenahan testified that the proposed zone change would have no adverse effect on the surrounding properties. In fact, he testified that it would have a beneficial effect because knowing exactly what is going to be there is far more advantageous than the current situation. This is particularly true given the passive nature of this project, which will generate no traffic, no noise, no dust or pollution, and no light or any other adverse condition. What is currently there devalues the surrounding properties, and this proposed change will cure that. Finally, he also pointed out that the increased tax revenue to the town will be more valuable to the town than on most projects because the taxes will not offset or be reduced by the provision of any services by the town. The project will produce no children to educate and requires no services. E. Planning Board member Howard Walker testified that the Planning Board believed this project to be a winner for everyone involved. It will increase tax revenue while producing no discernible adverse impact. The Planning Board recommended the project with the limitation to photovoltaic solar energy systems because it felt that it would allow this benign project to proceed while leaving up in the air for future consideration issues related to other types of solar energy uses that would be more suited to inclusion only upon issuance of a special use permit from the Zoning Board. No special use permit is needed for this limited use. 3. No objections were raised by any abutters or other members of the public. 4. The applicant indicated that it was in agreement with the conditions recommended by the Planning Board and any limitations imposed upon its use by this council. 5. Therefore, the council finds that the proposed change, as limited solely to the commercial use category of photovoltaic solar energy systems, is consistent with the authority reserved to the council under the comprehensive plan to identify those areas in town where such uses are appropriate and to identify the conditions under which uses may exist. The proposed change will provide a benefit to the town of Hopkinton by taking a property that is currently a non-conforming use that is not performing in its current zoning designation and will convert it to a known and clearly defined use that will have the least possible impact on the property itself as well as the surrounding properties, while securing the property and ensuring that the highest and best use of the property will be realized. It will not adversely affect the health, safety, or welfare of the town. It is in the best interest of the community. The proposed change is suitable to the character of the neighborhood and is an entirely non-noxious use. 6, as detailed by the Planning Board in its decision of December 16, 2013, which is incorporated herein by reference and as noted by Mr. Lombardo, the proposed use is in conformance with the provisions of the comprehensive plan outlined by them, including but not limited to A, encouraging development of uses in keeping with the predominant scale of a particular village area and creating opportunities for new commercial and mixed uses in existing village areas. B, providing for the expansion of the town's tax base by encouraging development of new and existing compatible commercial and business uses. C, targeting specific types of businesses based on Hopkinton's quality of life and locational advantages, balanced with business requirements and impacts to the environment. D, converting a non-conforming use into a conforming use that will be conclusively established for the benefit of the town and the neighborhood. 7, as conditions for the approval of this change, the applicants must A, comply with all state building code, DEM, and other requirements. B, comply with all applicable Hopkinton code and zoning requirements as determined by the building official, including restrictions established on use category 486 as set forth in section 5.3 of chapter 134. And C, return to the planning board for development plan review and abide by that board's determinations. Number 8, in the event that the applicant's project is not completed within the timeline provided by National Grid, then the zoning designation for the property shall revert to RFR 80.
Okay, motion made.
Second.
Second, okay, motion made, second. Any further discussion, folks? Okay, motion made, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 3, David.
Yes, sir. We have a third motion here. This is a motion on the amendment to the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. For the reasons previously stated in the motion to grant the requested zone change, I move that we amend the comprehensive plan and the future land use map to change the zoning classification for the property located at 45 Bank Street, Assessors Map 28, Lot 122, from RFR 80 to Commercial Special, with the restrictions placed upon the use to limit it to use only as use 486 photovoltaic solar energy systems, with those restrictions further placed upon the use as stated in chapter 134, section 5.3.
Second.
Okay, motion made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Good luck.
Done.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Now to the hard work.
Now do the Route 3.
You know,
He says, no, talk about Route 3. What's maybe talking about? I don't know. Look at that thing.
Are you leaving now? Hope you feel better soon. Be careful out there. I don't know. Is it slippery out there yet?
no.
No? Good.
53
Yeah.
degrees.
Is it still warm?
53.
Good.
Yay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Interesting.
Thanks, Pat. See you later.
Betcha.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Approved town council meeting minutes of December 16th, 2013. Executive session minutes of November 25th, 2013.
You're pulling 16?
Yeah. I just noticed some minor,
Just one second. May we make a motion to approve executive session minutes of November 25th, 2013?
Yeah. Motion made, seconded?
Yes, second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Okay. 16?
the 16, I just noticed a couple of minor things in,
What page got?
What page?
One was on page 7, where you had reported Mr. Barry Simpson had been very amenable to the request, and he is the historic district president in that indicates that it should be chairman versus president. And the other one had to do with a statement that Council Hurst had made in regards to
What page?
that was on page 4, the butter, Deborah House, related to the Latour Legends Bar and Grill. Council Hurst mentioned you
Folks, please, please.
used the word sanctions, and that wasn't used. I looked at the tape.
Okay, so whatever the tape said.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the minutes of December 16th be adopted with the corrections noted.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, first public forum. Anyone out there wishing to be heard? No? Okay. Town manager's report. Bill McGarry.
Just very briefly, department head budget meetings are scheduled to be held during the second full week in January. And lastly, a department head staff meeting to discuss and select the FY 2014-15 annual and fiscal year 2016-18 multi-year goals are scheduled to be held Thursday, January 9th at 10 a.m. at the Hopkinton Police Department. And those goals will be compiled and forwarded to the town council for their review and approval prior to the beginning of the actual budget workshop sessions in February.
Thanks, Bill. Any questions for Bill?
Nope.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Okay, anything under old business? Next on the agenda, under new business, is review, approve Vincent Koskinen earth removal registration application. Yes.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the
Morning.
board. Or good evening, I should say. I apologize. Used to be in the courthouse. Stephen H. Surdit here on behalf of the applicant tonight with offices at 15 Franklin Street. Mr. Camoli's junior partner, he was ill tonight, so unfortunately he couldn't make it. He sends his condolences. As you said, Mr. Chairman, here regarding earth removal application submitted by one Vincent Koskinen. This application was unanimously approved by your town boards. There was one request by a member of the town board that a signature of one Mr. Thomas Koskinen be obtained. Since that meeting, my office has spoken to Mr. Koskinen and his legal representative, advised them of the situation, and requested his signature. Since that time, he's voiced no objection to this application. Unfortunately, he has not signed the document, but he's well aware of it and has not voiced an objection to myself, my office, or to anyone else that we're aware of. As the council is most likely aware, the property is owned by the estate of one Stanley Bosnick, who was a resident here in town for many, many years. And Mr. Vincent and Mr. Thomas Koskinen are co-executors of the estate. Thus, as there is no legal requirement that an co-executor sign the application, and Mr. Thomas Koskinen has voiced no objection to the application and has had ample time to review it and to voice an objection if he did have one, we would request that the board approve the application before it tonight. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or comments
I
that the
can
board
just
may
jump
have.
in before Scott.
Okay.
Yeah, because that seemed to be the only criteria from the zoning board's decision, was to have Thomas sign, along with proof that the Rhode Island pollutant discharge elimination system permit be waived by DEM, so that's another piece of it too, so, I don't know.
I do have an affidavit which I'll be handing to the court, and I believe she may already have it to that effect, that Mr. Vincent Koskinen has spoken to the Department of Environmental Management, and they've confirmed that the property is categorized as a farm and thus does not require that permit.
Scott, go ahead.
I'm not inclined to vote for this because it's my feeling that Mr. Thomas Koskinen should be signing that situation, and I'd like to hear from my other counselors why I should vote for it in the absence of his signature. Submitting a signature is pretty easy, and they live near each other, and I'm not going to go into the history because but I know there has been some issues, and I just want to know why I should vote for it. Normally I would, it's basically these things are routine, but at the same time, Thomas Cuskadon has not signed that, and signing, and their neighbors, and they live in the same area, that it would be an easy task to accomplish.
Says Sylvia, go ahead.
I agree that, with the statement you made, that as far as the signature is concerned, apparently the zoning board requested it. I'm a little left with, I'm not sure how to deal with that, but one thing I do know is that I agree with your statement that we had a hearing, wait a minute. No, it's now. If he was going to comment, I think he would have commented now, or let the council know ahead of time, and he has not contacted me, and no one here, no. And so he should come tonight if he wanted to, put a halt to this. So, I'm not sure how we should proceed with the zoning. I'd like to hear from the rest of the council, so. But I do agree that if he had an objection to this, I would think he would have come in and let us know. Aside from that, what I would like to approve this, and one of the things I would want contingent on is that this, I think it's RIPES, RIPES, that we have some paperwork. They have something from DEM that states what you said. Do you have anything with you?
I do. I don't, in the interest of not pulling through my file and taking up the council's time, it's my understanding that, as I said, an affidavit by my client, by Mr. Costadon, Vincent Costadon, has already been submitted, and if it hasn't, I'll make sure that it is immediately
Okay,
submitted
so
to
whatever.
that effect.
And I'd like to know what, it is in here. Okay, I missed it then. It was an affidavit.
Yes.
There isn't any paperwork from DEM?
DEM will not give us any paperwork because they consider it a farm. And under the farm regulations, RIPD's permits are not applicable to farms. So
So they won't even send you a letter that says it's a farm? Well, okay, all right.
So my client is put under the penalties of perjury and under oath that he's gone through that lead work, and they've given him that information.
Okay, all right. Fine.
Okay. First of all, Vincent Cuskadon's earth removal operation has been, as far as I know, a good neighbor to everyone. I have no problems with it. I'd like to make a motion to approve Vincent Cuskadon's earth removal registration application, subject to the document requested by the zoning board to be signed by Thomas Cuskadon.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made, second. David, do you have any comments?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I would like to thank Councilor Capalbo for that motion, because I probably would have voted against it if Mr. Thomas Cuskadon didn't sign off on it, because he does have an interest in signing that, and I believe that, people don't have to go to a meeting of the town council, but they certainly can affix that signature on a document, and I really thoroughly appreciate Councilor Capalbo's motion, and I will vote for it. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
Sure.
just very briefly, while I respectfully understand that the council's trepidation towards approving the application on its face, I would suggest that Mr. Costadon has had ample opportunity to sign this. He's been given every opportunity. His counsel's been advised of it. He's been advised of it personally. And I don't want us to end up in a situation where this is in limbo going forward if Mr. Costadon is unwilling to sign the document. So I would suggest maybe, Mr. Balbo, that I put a letter to him, and if he doesn't respond or something within a 30-day window, that the application be approved.
That might be,
To me, this is personal. That's between two brothers. I'm not going to get in the way of two brothers. I do not care personally what they do or how they do it. I know that for us to have the earth removal registration, we need the owners we obviously need him to sign it off as the zoning board has requested. I'm sure that if the council votes for this, then you can go back to Mr. Thomas Cuskadon and say, we really need you to do this. Could you please do this now? Because if he doesn't, then you're going to have to come back in front of us anyway.
And
that's-
respectfully, if that's
I
what you
realize it's
prefer.
not, but I really don't want to get into the personal problems between two owners.
Neither do I.
We're not civil up here for that. So that's why we're doing it. Just needs to
Understood.
be
If we're unable to get him to sign it, then we'll come back before the board and
Yeah,
address it at that
that
time.
might be prudent, yeah, just do that.
Or go back in front of the zoning board and say,
Right,
do you actually
right,
need this?
Right.
Because you can go to the zoning board and say, do you really want this because we really can't get it for the following reasons? I don't know, maybe he's ill, but, or he's in Florida or wherever.
Whatever they may be.
So, I mean, go in front of the zoning board, ask them to remove that codicil.
Condition, right.
But we have to abide by our zoning board too.
Understood. Thank you very much, counselors.
Thank you. And
Okay.
he's a wonderful owner. I think he's just a great man.
Thank you. I'll pass along the
Yeah,
council's
please do.
sentiments.
Motion made and seconded. Any further comments, folks? Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
One down.
Yep.
Next on the agenda, under new business, is to review, approve Narragansett Improvement Earth Removal Registration Application.
You're stuck with me on this one as well. Stephen Surdit, offices at 15 Franklin Street for the record. Mr. Chairman, here regarding Narragansett Improvement Association and their facility here in the town of Hopkinton. This was approved with unanimously by your boards, the one condition being the submittal of, and it's not a RIPDES permit, it's an NPDES permit, which is the federal equivalent of a RIPDES permit. And as most of us are familiar with, the federal requirements are more onerous than the state requirements. They do have one. It is in effect. For whatever reason, the federal website would not allow us to download it. So I would respectfully request that you grant it subject to me submitting that to your clerk forthwith. I've contacted the federal agency. They're going to be putting a hard copy in the mail, so I have no objection to it being approved subject to that.
Can you,
Make a
who wants to
motion.
make? all right.
I'd like to make a, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Narragansett Improvement Earth Removal Registration Application, subject to the NPDES permit and subject to Class 4 survey, including topography and updated AMSHA? Mine safety.
Mine Safety and Health
Mine
Administration.
safety and health administration.
Okay, all right.
The,
But the Class 4 is required from the
in
personal,
there.
I believe one was
in
submitted, but
there.
I
I
will
thought they
follow
had
up to
that.
make
Okay.
sure.
because that was a zoning board condition as well.
Yes.
And so they have that.
Okay. Okay, so Barbara made her motion,
I'll second that.
David seconded. Any further discussion, folks? Okay, motion
And
made and
they-
seconded.
I just want to say, and they have always been a really good neighbor too. Narragansett, he has been a really, and he's worked with us on our gravel bank ordinance. He was extremely helpful.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
And that's a fourth or fifth generation owner of Narragansett Improvement Company, and they're one of the best companies in the state. And I'll pass along the council's sentiments. I'm sure they'll be happy to hear that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Do
next.
tell them thank you.
Next on the, under new business is to discuss and consider authorizing the reallocation of CDBG funds to offset the cost of the Crandall House chimney repairs. CDBG Coordinator Jeff Marchant. Jeff.
Good evening. Months and months and months ago, we put out a bid spec for work at the Crandall House that included the chimney liner. Everything has been completed but that. The contractor who bid proposed a spray-on product that apparently wasn't UL approved, so that wasn't accepted. And he's spent quite a while contacting chimney people, trying to get someone to bid a liner. Ultimately, we did a change order, removed that item from his contract. And then we started talking to Fuss and O'Neill, the engineers that you have on the contract for services to the town, and LaBrosse, who actually was an employee, I guess, at one time, who knows the chimney well, and State Historic Preservation, because that is a historic building. And we ultimately came to a plan that was bid a month or so ago, advertised in the Westerly Sun. It was direct mailed to 2 masons listed on the American Masonry website as Rhode Island members, and provided to Mr. LaBrosse. We had a mandatory walkthrough that only Mr. LaBrosse attended. He submitted a bid, which we have before you. The bid is $31,623.89. I think you have a copy of the bid packet. I'm proposing a 10% contingency for a total of $34,786.28. In the original award, in the CDBG PY11 contract, has a balance of $21,778.35. There's an activity housing information program that is not going to happen. That has been canceled by the original proposer of the activity. That's $1,500, which also would need to be amended into this if you choose to do that, leaving a balance of $31,107.93. In PY10, we have the Depot Square line item with a balance of $55,203.50. I'm proposing that we prepare a public notice and request public comment on moving $31,107.93 out of the Depot Square line item into the Crandall House line item to meet the bid. So what we're looking for tonight is authorization to advertise, actually, not approval on the amendment, because you have to have a public
Hearing.
hearing.
Okay. Does anybody have
I'll
any
move that
questions?
we authorize the advertising.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any questions?
I've got
just-
some comments, just to make sure.
I do too, yeah. So,
Okay.
Go ahead.
I want to make sure the public knows, for instance, the lion's share of the money to get this done, the chimney, is going to come from the Depot Square project. And I want to make sure everybody knows that originally, $55,202.50 was, that's the balance, for crosswalks in Hope Valley. And as we know, this
Yes.
council had just put a halt to it because that was a ridiculous sum of money for crosswalks. So it is safe to take this, to reallocate them. We're lucky that we have it, and we can reallocate it through another use, because we don't need $55,000 for crosswalks in Hope Valley. So that's, I just want to make sure the public knew that. That was my main comment.
This will,
I'm good with it.
it will probably come up again during the
That's
public
okay,
hearing.
that's all right, we can come up.
Scott, do you have anything? Jeff?
No, not at all.
David? No. Yeah, if I had just a couple quick things. We have to have a hearing, so who ultimately decides whether this money gets moved?
Council authorizes a request to the State Office of Housing and Community Development. They approve.
Okay, so they can approve it or not approve it?
Yeah.
Okay. The only concern I have is, and I think I mentioned this to the manager a bit ago, is that the initial money that was set aside for the Depot Square project, I know that the crosswalks, they probably are not going to cost that much.
Right.
I just want to make sure at least one or two of them gets done, because I think it's needed in one or two areas where they wanted to initially put them. The bakery to the
Yeah.
pizza place or to the fire station.
Right.
It's pretty dangerous there, and I want to make sure that, again, the public knows that I'm concerned about that, and I hope that we still have, I think we still have enough money to do at least one, maybe two.
South Kingstown has installed the type of crosswalk that the Hope Valley Revitalization Committee wanted, and that was, it's been a while now, but they said it's about $12,000.
Okay, so there'll be left about 24,000?
24, yeah.
Okay, so that might be enough to do two if we need, okay.
If we need.
So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So,
No,
okay,
so-
okay. So motion made?
Yes,
Second?
I'm seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay, I'll advertise it, if I can make it for the next council meeting. I have to have a 7-day public notice prior to any action, so if I can get it into the paper, I'll get back on the next agenda. Is it Tuesday? We'll pick us on Martin Luther King? Yeah, okay. I'll try to make that happen.
Thanks, Jeff.
Doesn't he have to do the next one?
Yeah, don't go anywhere. Next on the agenda is discussion regarding CDBG Townwide Rental Rehabilitation Program. CDBG Coordinator Jeff Marchand. And Sylvia wanted this on the agenda, so I'll let you take it.
Well, I asked for it to be on the agenda, and I asked Lisa if she would invite the Affordable Housing Committee which started this whole idea in conjunction with our planner and in conjunction with Jeff Marchand. So I think what we need to discuss this tonight and see if we can come to an agreement of how we'd like to proceed, because there's a whole lot of information. We have I guess we have a little, but we've got funding to start, and we need to decide how we're gonna do that. And I would assume that we would want the planner and Jeff to meet with the Affordable Housing Committee to discuss this. And they would work with legal, because there's going to be some paperwork that needs, and they're going to need to approve forms, et cetera.
Yeah.
So I'd like to have a manager, of course, write in on this, and I would think that he'd probably want the planner to you know, certainly deal with it. But anyway, so it would be in Bill's court and work with the Affordable Housing Committee, I think, to move this project forward. So that's all I had.
And one of the individuals who was on there mentioned that he had moved to Westerly, so he's submitted his resignation.
Oh, one of the individuals on the committee?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so there's a new vacancy now? Anybody out there wants to apply?
Is there any issue right now?
How so?
I mean, we have money available. It's for rehabilitation. Do you have people already on your list?
I don't have a list for rental rehabilitation, as this program has been proposed to the state. We proposed this as kind of two programs in one. It's the third time we asked for this money. We have done in the past a rental rehabilitation program that was a straight revolving loan for 3%, negotiable term, and that's in this activity. We also have proposed forgivable loans.
For 30 years?
For the state law requires a minimum of 30 years. If a person wants to do that, and we can invest enough money to make it worth their while, and they hold the affordability of the unit for 30 years, we would forgive that loan. So there's, simply put, but there's a million details
Right.
that need to be worked out.
And that's something you'll work with the planner and with Affordable Housing
And I would
Commission?
probably bring in the Housing Network and possibly someone from Rhode Island Housing. who have-
And will the Affordable Housing Commission have the list of the people who either own the homes or want the housing renovation?
I don't know that they have a list at this time.
we don't yet.
Wait a minute, you'll have to come up to the podium. Oh, okay, but I've got along those lines, I believe we have to be careful. This is CDBG money. And so you can't, I was thinking about it, it'd be nice if we could send letters out to every person, but what if you miss somebody?
Yeah, right.
So what you do is you advertise and you
Yeah.
try your best to get the word out. And anybody out there who is a landlord, who is interested in this, either come to the hearing, or when it's finally all set up and the program's ready to go,
Yeah.
you do your best to get the word out, and people will apply.
Yeah, I think
There are
we need
people
to,
now that have problems.
we need to create the structure
Yes.
to make it
First. Mm-hmm.
work, so that when property owners come in, you can answer their questions.
Right, right.
And then we'll do whatever
I mean, I think
advertising,
it's
we'll
a-
put it on the website.
I think it's an excellent program. I'm really glad we finally got money for the
Yeah.
housing rehabilitation and the rental rehabilitation. I think that's fabulous. You know, go for it.
Third time's the charm, I guess.
Yeah, third time's the charm, and we get a nice chunk of cash. So that's great. It's a great way to start.
Yeah. So,
I'm good with it.
so I'll get it going as quick as I can. I'll arrange with, the other people.
Good.
Set
The
up
committee can get going then. Good.
Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Have Jim come up.
I just.
Well, have Jim come up. You want to come up, Jim?
Well, I was just going to tell people in the room or the public, that we decided to do this because we're not seeing a lot of needs being filled, particularly for young families, in the project-type developments that the state seems so fond of. So what we'd like to do is get credit for having the 30-year deed restriction for the affordable housing, and find properties throughout town that are rented that need a new furnace, need a new roof, need storm windows, have a good well, have, good source of public water or whatever, but that, for the rehab money, we get a 30-year deed restriction for affordability, and it counts so that the state doesn't keep coming in here with Brushy Brook type projects. So this is to try to pick individual and small tenement and rehab them, and in turn from the landlord get that deed restriction,
But our
which
pro-
then counts to the state.
Right, our problem is that the landlords don't want to give you a 30-year deed restriction.
Well, I beg to differ, I've been approached by a couple, so.
I mean, I think if you can find them, that's great.
I don't think you're speaking the truth, Ms. Cabaldo.
Well,
You
I
have to
cer-
look around.
Let's, all right. So we'll, I'm glad the money's available. Hopefully, I'm not so sure if it's used towards the mandated 10% affordable housing ratio, but maybe it is. I don't think it is, but
It does.
No, it will be used.
you gotta come to the
Please
podium.
come to the
Yeah,
podium.
you gotta identify
Because
yourself.
the public is the
I'm
camera.
handicapped, so he's not.
As he limps.
I can move a little bit. My name's Jared Rhodes, and I'm with Affordable
Sorry, I
Housing
called you
Commission.
Jim. I was thinking of the planner, sorry.
It will count on the statewide to 10%, okay? The biggest problem with a lot of the affordable housing, and we've heard, you know, there's a lot of affordable housing, there's Section 8, there's a number of people who are renting properties now at affordable rates, but they don't count because they don't have the 30-year restriction on them. That's one of the criteria for that 10%. So until something changes with the state mandate, we need that 30-year
Restriction.
kicker in there. And you need to give some incentive to do that. And there are landlords who will do that.
Okay.
There's a number of people, for instance, myself, I live in a two-family. I've got ample money to do what I need to do, but I know there are some properties in town where the owner does not have the resources to go and put a new furnace or to update the heating system, the electrical system, roof or whatever. This will allow them to do that, allow them to do it at affordable rates, and will also help the town get its 10%.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions about the affordability or?
I just hope it gets used, the money gets used.
Oh, I hope it does too. I mean, it's
Don't worry, it will.
there's not that much money,
Yeah.
there's not that much money of funding
Right.
for affordable housing. In the last few years, it's dried right up. And there's still a need for it.
Yep.
Because the younger people who are just starting their careers off, whether they're getting out of college or whatever else, still fall among that affordability, that affordable family. And to keep them in town, you need to have the housing. It's an important subject. Do you know what the percentage is now? I think Hopkins was pretty good in meeting the 10%
We're
goal.
close to
compared to other
7%.
cities.
We're close to 7.
7.2.
Yeah, I think it was, I'm not current on its current thing. I've been rather sick with lately, and I haven't kept up with some things.
It's around
But
7.
last time I know, I think it was 7.
Over
It
7.
was pretty close.
Thanks for your service.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda under new business is to discuss and consider authorizing the town planner to provide the town's response to an affordable housing survey distributed to the municipalities by the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns. Oh, there's Mr. Lampier. How are you, Jim? See you, Jeff. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Yes, Mr. Lampier.
Good evening.
How are you?
Excellent. In your packet, I put responses to a survey that was given to the towns of Rhode Island by the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns regarding affordable housing. And they asked a number of questions in here, and in order to answer them, I enlisted the help of Christine, our tax assessor, who did part 3, because it involved assessments. I asked Brad Ward about the question that dealt with building permit fees. And then I tackled part 1 and the rest of part 2 myself. And again, the answers that I provided in this survey are a good deal in my opinion, and I think it should be taken in the town's interest as well. these answers. I think the whole affordable housing law needs to be looked at right from square one all over again. I think it's flawed. It was a flawed law from day one. And how they count affordable housing in each town right now, they're asking for a subsidy, first of all, to it, either a federal, state, or local subsidy, and a 30-year deed restriction. And in my opinion, that particular construct is so bogus, it has no relationship to the amount of affordable housing that exists in any of the cities and towns. In my view, it was put in there by political interests who were interested in putting a standard or raising the bar to a certain level that first of all, they knew no town in the state met initially, and that it would take years for any town in the state to meet, going the route that we're going, and we're actually going pretty good relative to some towns. But I mean, we're still, even though we're 7%, we're as, close doesn't count in horseshoes here, only, I mean, we're still subject right now to comprehensive permits. And basically, until we get to that 10%, as was just said here a minute ago, we're going to be subjected and held open to future comprehensive permits, which basically rips our zoning to shreds. And so, as I put in here, I felt that the league should press the legislature to get some academics in here and come up with a true characterization of the affordable housing quantity throughout the state, and see what each town individually has to do to meet it. Now, there are some towns that have to do a lot more than we do. In my opinion, most of the housing we have in this town is low and moderate income housing. So, I mean, so to destroy our zoning and create lots that are postage stamp sized lots to create more housing, to me is, I don't understand what we're doing. I know why it was done. It was done for builders, so they had places to build on. But I think it's important, even the state recognizes that it's important to maintain the distinction between urban areas and rural areas. And if you're going to make these rural areas look like Cranston and Warwick, then that's what you're going to have. And we just don't have the services down here to support that type of housing. We don't have sewers and water going down everybody's street. Transportation, employment. So probably what you're going to have here is, developers carving up the town. There's not a great deal of demand for houses right now, but they'll put these lots they create in the bank.
Oh, yeah.
And 5 or 10 years, when the whole scenario changes, they'll pull these things out and say, here's my lots, boom, 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 boom. And it's going to hit us all at once, because they're accumulating these things now in the bank.
Yep.
They're going to roll them out at some point. And, primarily, we're a bedroom community. We don't have we're trying to do the best we can to get commercial going and whatnot to diversify the tax base, but we're a bedroom community. And the burden of providing the services is going to fall on the individual homeowner and taxpayer. That's the way it's set up right now. So I think the affordable housing law should be looked at right from square one all over again.
And I think you did a great job, Jim. I really liked what I read. I approve of it. I think it was just a great job that you, the building assessor, the building and zoning, and the assessor did. I'm behind you. I'm behind you.
Okay, Barbara, you guys have any comments, questions for Jim?
No, I think you did a fine job.
You did a great job.
Yeah.
Scott?
I confess I didn't review it, but a lot of the stuff you said is what we know anyways about the housing stock. The thing that's always bothered me in affordable housing issues is that we have a lot of housing stock we can't count because it's been in existence for years. And the sad part is when you look at all the graphs that you have in your office in the hallway, but there's only, I think, 4 or 5 towns that people actually considered affordable in Rhode Island, of all the cities and towns. It's not good, and the state really has to look this whole thing over, and it's a train wreck, really.
Thanks, Scott. David, do you have anything?
Simply, Jim, that I fully agree with what Barbara said. I don't see there's a need in this town for affordable housing. I think there's a need in the inner city maybe for affordable housing, but you certainly can't turn this entire state into an affordable housing project, because there's just not needs in certain areas for affordable housing. And Hopkins is not one of them. I don't see a real demand for it, so I'm definitely against this housing survey. I believe, am I correct to say that Brian Kennedy was behind this, or was instrumental in
the original, in pulling it
thing?
together originally.
Our representative?
He probably was heavily involved in it.
Shameful.
He was
Okay,
one of-
that's all I have to say.
I just had a couple quick comments, Jim, if you don't mind. In the survey, it mentions 10 out of the 29 communities were exempt. Do you know why they would be exempt?
Providence.
Inner city?
Inner city.
Okay.
They have a large number of rental units which are
Qualified.
In comparison,
offsets.
so do we.
Exactly.
And then the only other question I have
Mobile
is just like a
homes.
general comment question. Do you think, if this gets repealed, I don't know if it ever would, but if it does, do you think that would affect us? I assume it would from a federal or state funding level at some point, if some of this stuff gets, as I know that there's probably funding attached to this in some way. Do you think that would affect our funding or state, or federal grants or anything like that?
I don't know that there's any federal funding attached to that. That's an unfunded mandate by the
Right.
state of
Oh,
Rhode
it's
Island.
Okay.
All unfunded.
Okay. I didn't know if there was anything
We are
attached to
the
it.
funding.
If you're lucky enough to get a subsidy for one of the housing projects, and that would be some federal funds there, but there's
Nothing attached to it.
there is no incentive for us to get to that 10%
Okay.
outside of.
Citizens are the funding source.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question.
Sure.
Bill, do you need the council to authorize the submission to this to Dan Beardsley? Is that what you're looking for
Or
tonight?
is that just a consult?
Well, we wanted to bring it before the town council because...
See if we wanted to add anything?
In addition to that, some of the answers to some of the questions that were asked were really the town's mission going forward, so we thought it would be most appropriate to have the town council address this. And then speaking with Dan Beardsley, who's the president of the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns, basically, I guess there's going to be a big push to amend that
Right.
affordable housing law in the General Assembly beginning this year. And this survey, the impetus of the survey is a result to get all the municipalities, cities, and towns on board to prepare the ammunition to attack that.
Great, wonderful.
Well, then,
More
it will
power
be,
to them.
this will be sent up to Dan Beardsley.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, David?
Just one thing, there is a correction on this statement, under Part 3, taxation of affordable housing, number 6. Jimmy replied, yes, and it should say, yes, it is clear.
Yeah.
I think we have to stick the word is in there.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, will do.
Thanks, that's it. Look good.
Nice work, Jim.
Yeah,
Thanks, Jim.
Very good work.
And
Yes,
we had-
Amy?
I just wanted to share, because I've been to a couple of state meetings with a lot of land trust people, a lot of planners, and when I walked into the room, DEM people came over to congratulate me, because I was taking a stand on the groundwater issues particularly. But in talking at break and at lunch, everybody, every category of people at these meetings said, we can't believe how good Hopkinton is. And what they meant was, it didn't matter whether it was the rec director, your town committee, your council people, the people who ran the land trust, the people who ran the affordable housing. He said, you guys, one Brushy Brook, do you know what an example that is to the rest of us rural towns in Rhode Island? You're really a quiet town, they said, but all of you from every corner of your town came to defend your town against that developer, and you don't know how envious we are of your town all working together. So I just wanted to tell you what other towns and these groups of planners and everything think of this town and the legal and personal battle we all fought to save not only our neighborhoods, but our water supply and our traffic and our schools. We are being very much admired, so I want everybody to keep it up, because we have a good share of affordable housing, but this whole new rehab thing might set a standard for the rest of the rural town state.
Yep, great, thanks, Mimi.
So, pat yourselves on the back.
Thank you.
You are truly being admired.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda, under new business, was requested by Councilor Husband, discuss the holiday sales license fee reduction. Mr. Husband.
Thank you. I'm going to make this real brief. The state has created a holiday sales license law, if you want to call it a law, but they've allowed us to establish a holiday sales license fee. And well, currently we charge $50 per business that wants to stay open on holidays. We have 24 of those businesses. It was raised from I believe it was 10 years ago, I believe it was 2003. We raised it from $25 a year, it's an annual license, to $50 a year. We don't give these businesses, these 24 businesses, anything for that $50, nothing. It's just a way of obtaining revenue. We have to have the license. The state says we have to have a license. The state allows us, however, to determine what we're going to charge. Charge $1, we can charge $100, we can charge $1,000 if we wanted to allow businesses in this town to stay open on a holiday. I believe it used to be a Sunday sales license. Anyhow, we don't give anything to these businesses for this money that we get from them. It's just a way of raising revenue. So we garner $1,200 a year, minus administration expenses, every year from these licenses. I've talked to several towns in the area. I've also gone online in several towns in the area. Charleston charges $50. Westerly charges $50. Richmond charges $10. Exeter charges nothing. I think we should do our businesses a favor. I think we should say thank you for being in this town. Thank you for making this town what it is through your businesses. We're not talking about big businesses here. We're not talking about the major businesses around Exit 1. We're talking about the mom and pop businesses in general. We're talking about the brick ovens. We're talking about the West Bakeries. We're talking about Mom and Pa's Grocery up in Hope Valley. These are the kind of things, and admittedly some chains such as Dunkin' Donuts. But if they want to sell on holidays, they have to have this license. I think it's a ripoff. And I've talked to Lisa about this, the town clerk about this, and she thinks that because of administration, because we have to have these licenses, so we have to deal with going out and getting them, processing them, calling these people up or writing to them if they don't provide a license to us, that we should charge something simply because it costs the town something to have these licenses. We have to have them. We just can't forget about them. So I want to drop the annual fee from $50 to $10, and I want to go along with saying thank you for doing business in this town. I want this town to be business friendly. Too long I've heard people say, "Oh, Hopkinton's any business," and that's just absolutely wrong. We like to control business. We don't want big industry throughout the town, but I think when it comes to small businesses, let's give them a little pat on the back and say thank you for being in this town. So I'm going to make a motion that we drop the holiday sales license fee in Hopkinton from the current $50 to $10 annually.
Okay. Motion made.
Second,
Barbara,
so we
second.
can discuss.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion made second. Barbara.
I don't see why we can't drop it to zero, because you don't have to go after them to say you need a holiday license. You just, if we have to give them a holiday license, we simply give them holiday licenses. I don't see why it can't be zero. Because if we have to have them, there's no reason for the clerk to even have to go after them. They just can know that in perpetuity, this business, which is paying taxes, has a holiday license.
You just send them the license, in other words.
Right, just send them a license. I mean, if they have to have one, send it to them, but otherwise, put it on file at the town clerk's office.
Lisa?
I said, I don't see why we can't zero. I think it's a ridiculous fee. I absolutely agree with David. I mean, $1,200, this is just not worth the effort. It is not business friendly, and it really does affect all the small mom and pops, and that's ridiculous.
That's right.
But I don't see why we can't just zero it and have you either send them one or just keep one on file.
Well, Lisa, you can.
So, what you're suggesting is that the existing list of holiday sales license recipients, that just on an annual basis, we just automatically send them?
Yeah.
Without
With no,
So-
with,
It's been a
I
long
mean,
time of process that, you know.
yeah, exactly, but we just did victualling licenses, we just did liquor licenses
That's right.
right before that. So if people wanted to come forward with Ma and Pa is a terrible organization, we would have known
And it's
something.
not advertised.
It
because
isn't.
It's not required to be advertised.
And, you know,
Certainly, that's up to you. You
they're
are
such
the
nice people.
body who set the fee. You will have to adjust for it when you come to my budget, you know. because-
What are your administrative costs on this, Lisa?
Well, we send something out to them, we remind them if necessary, it gets put on the agenda. There's printing costs for the letter, for the mailing, and for the license itself.
so we can eradicate all that. We just,
Well,
you
you still
just,
gotta give them something. so-
well, or you could have it on file with their business. It's on file at the town hall.
What, it has to be, is it, well, it has
I don't know if they
to-
physically have to have a little piece of paper.
Well, I don't know, that's very interesting. I do have
Because,
no
I mean,
idea.
if you certainly do that, then you have no,
I'm curious to see how Exeter, it'd be great to know how Exeter handles it as well. If it, did you happen to find out?
I found it online. X-ray I found online.
And do they issue something, or is it just?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know.
Well, that's an interesting concept. I'm certainly not, I'm not opposed to you dropping it. Anyway, I think it is ridiculous. And it is a holdover from when they changed it from a Sunday sales license, they changed it into a holiday, and they do have to have it.
but I don't know if they physically have to carry it.
It just states that the city or town council may fix and cause to be paid into the city or town treasury for each license issued pursuant to the section, a fee not to exceed the sum of $100, and may fix the time or times when the license granted terminates, provided that the town council shall not charge a licensing fee to any charitable, benevolent, educational, philanthropic committee, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Can you
I don't
just
see
check
any
with it?
restrictions in the law, so.
Can you check with Exeter and just
I
see?
can for sure check with that.
Does it have to be done annually?
Well, I'm curious about that too. It said from what I just read, and may fix the time or times when the license granted terminates. May, not shall.
May.
So there's your,
There's our out.
Could we charge them $10 every 3 years?
I would just
I
charge them
think that
zero.
would be.
It gets
No, that was
confusing.
more of a
a
problem.
more difficult.
Which
to
Okay.
remember every 3 years, I just not.
Okay,
Which-
okay.
Right. I would,
So,
yeah.
All right, so
So
Barbara,
maybe it
all right, so
would be
Barbara's
a-
got an
a
opinion, David's got an
permanent-
opinion.
Holiday sale.
Sylvia, what say you?
I think that the way Dave proposed it concerned me simply because there is staff time that goes into this. However, when Barbara added to what you had said and then said, well, you take it to zero and you just give them a license. So the issue was, the staff does go through, they have to follow up, they have to call them, they have to mail to them, they don't hear back from them, they have to pester them, blah, blah, blah. So if her office doesn't have to go through all that, then you cut out the staff time, okay?
That's right.
Now, so taking it to zero sounds like a fine idea, and I think that Lisa should research it and find out just how long this can go out. Maybe there has to be some limit. Maybe you say for the next 20 years, I don't know. But in other words, they get a license and you don't have to renew it every year. And it's good until blah, 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 a certain year. So that's an option, and I'd be curious to hear back. So I'm in favor of this. The only, in the way it's proposed, and taking it down to zero seems fine. Then you don't have to worry about it. Or if it's a one-time fee of $10, but it lasts for 20 years,
Sure.
And then it takes care of the initial minor mailing fees or something. So maybe we should go,
That's what I
maybe
said.
go to $5,
That's
and
what I
it
said about
covers
three-
the mailing costs and the
I mentioned
printing.
3 years, but we could do 5 if we wanted to, I
Yeah,
suppose.
so we could, we could split the difference, you call it $5, they send in $5 and it's good for 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Why don't we,
But let me just finish, and so, so I think you picked a good one to do it. Now, if you start to look at all of them, which if we're gonna do it, we should do it in a comprehensive way and at a budget workshop. Because every time, if we decide to do this, we've just cut her revenue by, what was it, $1,200? Okay, by 1,200.
Yep.
Whenever you cut a revenue in like her budget, and if you did more, whatever that adds up to, then now she has less revenue, so now it goes to, and you can't lay off somebody because of this little tiny thing. They don't work 40 hours a week on this thing. So what I'm getting at is you want to be careful in the future what you do this type of thing, because what ends up happening is every time you delete a revenue, the rest of the taxpayers have to pick it up, because unless you can decrease expenses, and like I said, you can't get rid of a staff. So anyway, so the bottom line is everybody ends up paying for it. Now, this is minor, and they paid plenty already.
Right.
So I'm not worried about this minor thing, but I'd say in the future, we
Oh,
want to be
sure.
cautious, because when you do that, all the taxpayers pay for it.
The $1,200 that we're going to lose represents approximately a little over 1/10 of 1 cent on the tax rate.
And with what Barbara said, though, doing it this
zero.
different way, now we
Yeah.
don't have that yearly trouble with the staff.
That's
So we're
right.
not tying up staff time, and they can do something else now.
Actually, it takes work off her shoulders.
So it makes sense. Yeah,
Sure.
it makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And you know what helps the businesses in this town?
Well,
just
it's
little
a
tiny thing.
faith, it's a good faith.
It's a good faith thing. You know
And
what?
it's a Merry Christmas.
It is.
And I wouldn't mind if you when you sent out and let them know that we're gonna do this, say Merry Christmas.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Or Happy Holidays.
we'd done this before.
Don't want to offend
Happy New
anybody.
Year.
Happy holidays. Anyhow,
All right, guys.
There's a motion and a second on the table, though, to reduce it from $50 down to $10.
okay.
Do you still want to act on that motion, or do you want me to do it?
Well, we can amend it.
I'm willing to amend it.
Okay. Who had the $10 one? You, David. All right, so why don't you amend your motion?
I'm going to amend my motion.
Can the same person amend it that made the original?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Does she have to take back?
Oh, I don't know, I'm just asking.
Take back a
Why don't
second?
we just take back the second, take back the motion?
Okay, I'll take back my
Okay.
motion if you take back the second.
Just take back
New
Okay.
motion.
Okay, so the new motion, what do we want, guys?
0.
Oh,
Zero?
I haven't heard from Council Hurst, so.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know my opinion counts.
Yeah, it does, Scott, that's why I left you
Yeah, let's
for
see.
last.
No,
Yeah, we can
basically,
jump
I
in.
don't have a problem with the not charging. But my concern is, why are we voting tonight? We should let Lisa bring it back next meeting, let her do some research and say how Exeter handles it, that doesn't charge a fee. And I'm sure we're gonna vote for it. So, I mean, what's 2
It's
weeks?
discussion, it's not discussion and act.
Correct, it's just.
Oh, okay, yeah, we could put it
I'd
to
be
the
happy
next
to
meeting.
do a little more research, find out.
Sure.
I'm curious, I'm happy to.
Yeah.
whichever way you want.
Boy, that'd be nice, less work for your
Yeah.
It's on the internet, by the way. It shows all the
Yeah, but she has to
licenses.
see how,
Yeah.
what they really have.
Yeah,
to do.
okay.
Yeah, Exeter.
Sure,
All right.
sure.
And I guess that
So next meeting
act
then.
wasn't on there.
And so see if you can either have it on file or hand them one for 20 years and do it at 0. So you have nothing you have to do
Right.
other than the
Takes
initial.
Other than that first initial, yeah.
initial.
Yeah, I would support a 0 fee for the holiday
I'm
license.
fine,
Just send it out.
I like 0 more than 10.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so Lisa will do her thing and report back
Thank
to
you.
us.
Good,
Thanks, Lisa.
Thanks for bringing it up, David.
thank you. Thanks for backing.
Final item under new business is, I received something from the Jamestown Town Council regarding a resolution on the Newport Pell Bridge safety, and I wanted us to craft a similar resolution about the safety of the bridge. I know that it's kind of dangerous. There's been some deaths as recently as Christmas Eve. A 74-year-old Exeter resident died on the bridge in a car accident, so I'm in favor of medians being put there. It's just a resolution to support our Jamestown neighbors, in favor of the medians being put in between the south and east and westbound lanes on Pell Bridge, so
Absolutely.
I don't know if you guys, hopefully you're in favor of that.
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it. In fact, I tell you, I think one of the worst things in Rhode Island is driving over the Newport Bridge. I'm not crazy about heights. You get a good view of Rose Island, and it looks like an outhouse, but actually, I guess it was a guard shack out in the harbor.
It was.
Yeah, the naval base, but it's all falling in, but, so I don't like to think about driving over the Newport Bridge. I haven't done it lately, but I've done it, and it's not one of my favorite things in Rhode Island to do.
There you go.
So,
Well, I think everybody knows what happened recently.
Yeah.
There was a head-on collision. And if you think about it, there's a head-on collision and all the lanes are blocked by people driving, and then they have to stop.
Right.
They had to get all those cars, before the ambulance could even get in there, they had to have all these cars, one by one, turn around
Yeah.
and make a lane. And that was not an easy task. It took a while to get it done. So, yeah, it's a nightmare. So So,
So great.
So, yeah.
I appreciate everyone's input. Yes, Barbara?
And I know the other, technically, the other issue is the center median, I believe, could not be cement because of the weight on the bridge. So they are doing the research to see what the center median barrier will be. It may not be indeed cement, but it may be some other, well, aluminum, or it can be a rope, like cable. The issue is that if they put the center barrier in, because there are low sidewalls, you bounce off. So the center barrier could indeed cause bounces on both sides, because that's what will happen, is you will be forced off the other side of the bridge, which means that you die, and hopefully you don't take anyone with you, but it doesn't really, it might help with head-ons, but it certainly doesn't help with accidents on the bridge. So I hope that they do this understanding that it could have unintended consequences, which are worse than the head-on collisions. Because it could have any number. I understand, I agree with you on the bridge safety thing, but I know that this could have really unintended consequences too.
I was going to ask you, I had one change to this resolution, and then I think we could adopt it tonight if everybody's okay. And the one change was in what Barbara was talking about, the last sentence, where it says, and give the bridge authority, give them priority to and install forthwith the center medium. Instead of say and install, and say consider the installation of it.
Yes.
And then it's, and then.
I'm sure DOT engineers will get that.
Yeah, and so, I mean, if we put it that way and consider
Yeah,
the
that's fine.
installation of it, I would support this as written. Does everybody support it
I
as written
agree
with the
with
minor
you.
change?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I can have do I need a motion for that? I assume I do.
Move that we adopt the resolution with the change discussed.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Last public forum. Anyone out there wishing to be heard? Please come to the podium.
I got my license from the campground. I
Your
know-
holiday, what is it,
I know
the
you
holiday
can't-
sales license?
I know you can't do anything about it tonight, and I
Oh,
understand
that
that.
license.
But we are approved for 80 sites, and we have been.
Okay, so that is the difference, then, when you look at, let's see. Your Greenwood Hills, right?
Yes.
50 campsites and safari sites, so the 30 must be in the safari field. That's 80.
I don't know, it says 80
Yeah,
campsites.
I think that's what it is. The estimate of the safari field was 30.
Okay,
So it's listed on the, this is agenda hasn't changed for a long time.
Obviously.
That's what it is. So that's-
Oh, good.
I don't know where we would,
Wonderful.
I don't know where we would, in all honesty, in the safari field, I don't know where we put 30 trailers. There's not room for 30 there. We have 11 or 12 there, that's about it.
Can we see your license?
Absolutely.
Can we go back to that?
Yes, because it's still on the agenda, so all the
I- you know,
council.
well, you
It
were trying
says
to have
80.
Brad go out and this
Says
one and
80.
that one.
Yeah, it says 80
And there's no
campsites.
delineation as to safari or camping?
So we could,
I'd like to
we could
amend
put this
the-
back on the agenda.
I would like to amend the agenda to add Greenwood Hill.
We don't need to add,
Campground.
it's already on here.
Just add them, we gotta,
We can revert to it,
Looks
yep.
good.
All right,
the
I
motion,
can make
which
a
we
motion to
did.
revert to Greenwood
I see, I
Hill
see.
Campground Association.
So wait a minute, so go ahead, Barbara, make your motion and just say 80.
All right, the motion to grant renewal to to Greenwood Hill Campground Association, license for 50 campsites and 30 safari sites.
Oh, no, just say 80
campsites.
campsites
80
and safari.
All right, the motion is to grant renewal of Greenwood Hill Campground Association's license for 80 campsites and safari sites, subject to all state and town regulations being met and all town taxes current prior to issue.
Perfect,
motion
second.
made, seconded. Any discussion further? All those in favor?
Aye. Wonderful! Very
Motion
cool.
to adjourn.
You got a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Prince.
State office, because I like to eat up things.
We're gonna lower those taxes. We get the taxes down.
He's trying to
Motion,
I make a make a motion, we adjourn in memory of the late Ruth Prosser.
Okay, motion made.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.